See all the mess behind me.
Usually does a countdown, but it didn't do one today. So that's called Casey operating the technology. So today, welcome back, everybody. We have April Stevens with us, and I'm Casey Stiers, your host. Hallie is with a client still. She may hop on in just a few. But I work the Raleigh area and also known as the Downtown Guru. And April is, I mean, she's one of the top realtors in this area. She's done amazing things. She's also what, city commissioner? Is that correct? County commissioner for Johnston County, and has built a real estate school. And I've known her since pretty much her first day of real estate. So having said that, welcome, April. I feel honored that you're on here, and it's funny how things go in circles, and here we are sitting together doing this. I'm not sitting much on the parent-teacher conference table.
I know. I love saying everything happens for a reason. So, yes, you met me right after I got good into real estate, and it's been a whirlwind ever since, and I'm honored to be here as well. So thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. So tell us a little bit about how you joined the real estate world and where it's taken you, and about team building.
So, ironically, yesterday was September 11th. So, thanks to September 11th, my unit got deployed, and I ended up going into labor the day that my unit deployed with my daughter, Abby. So, ended up not being able to deploy with my Army National Guard unit, and then subsequently got out and needed to go to work. So I started working part-time for a general contractor, and I just loved everything about it. He was building houses and commercial buildings, and I loved the marketing side. And he said, if you think you want to do this, I'll send you to real estate school. So I went to, back then it was night school, like literally 3 nights a week for 6 months. It took me to get my real estate license, and went to night school, and the rest is history. Right after that, the recession happened, and he quit building houses. So I went to a local Remax and started growing there, and then eventually went on to grow a team, and then eventually went on to be a Remax broker owner, and then moved to EXP about 3 years ago. So it's been 17 years now, which is crazy.
Right. So, I mean, that speaks my age, because I was one of my first kindergarten students I ever taught. So
I tell people I'm fax machine old in real estate years. Like, I remember getting offers on the fax machine. So I don't feel that old, but I'm that old in real estate.
So I feel that old with a lot of it. So let's talk a little bit about team building. What made you decide you wanted to build a team?
I feel like every decision I've made always goes back to Abby. And if you know me, Abby is my world. So that makes sense. I'd gotten really busy, which was a blessing. And Abby decided to compete in pageants. And I won't ever forget, we were sitting, she was going for pretty much like a Little Miss North Carolina title. She'd won a local pageant in Garner, and she went on for Little Miss North Carolina. And that day, I remember I was trying to negotiate 3 offers and trying to write one. And I was just pulling my hair out and trying to be there for her, and thinking, I can't do this. I can't be all things to everyone. I felt like I wasn't giving her my full attention. I felt like nobody was getting my full attention. And then she won. And I was like, this little girl is going to be very busy for the next year, and she deserves my full attention. She's worked so hard for this, and there's got to be a better way. And luckily, about that time, one of my close friends in the business, we'd worked together, had just moved back to town. And I literally called her that day. And I said, hey, do you want to be my buyer's agent? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how we're going to do it, but do you want to be my buyer's agent? And she was like, yes. And I was like, great. So we met the next week. I think I was doing like almost 90 deals myself at that time, and had a part-time assistant. And really that was just for paperwork stuff. It wasn't even transaction management. It was just making sure my paperwork was right. So we started working together, and her and I worked together for about 3 years. And then we had some new construction opportunities where we needed to be on site. We needed to, do all the open houses every weekend. And it was like, okay, I think this is the perfect time to scale. And I was looking to grow a team. And that's when I'd kind of discovered Marty Hampton and Christina Balkanoff were huge mentors for me, and Sharon Evans. They were all at Remax 1. And I was like, that's where all the teams are. That's where I want to go, and that's where I want to grow. And that's what I did. And so, I mean, I went to dinner with Marty one night, and she was like, step 1 through 5, do this. And I was like, well, I can follow breadcrumbs. So I just did what she told me to do, and
follow breadcrumbs.
I can follow breadcrumbs. And so I think I had my first teammate interview in February, and by July we went from 1 to 6. So we grew very fast, which was great because I had some experienced agents and I had some newer agents. So it was a great mix, great camaraderie. And it just worked. So I realized then how great it was, not just having people support you, but being support for other people. I think that's the biggest thing I've gained from having a team is it's not just having somebody to go open doors and do open houses that I don't want to do, which is what a lot of people think every team leader wants. No, for me, it became helping other people be successful. And that's where I really found my joy and why I wanted to continue growing.
Yeah. So surrounding yourself by people you trust.
Yep.
Really, really big thing. And now you have gone on to build an actual real estate school, correct?
Yeah. So again, helping people be successful has always been a passion project of mine. I remember when I got my license, the builder I worked for was a broker. So he was my broker in charge. So I literally had to learn everything myself. It wasn't like I was in an office that had trainings and things like this. It was none of that. If I had a question, I had to call the real estate commission. I had to call the Association of Realtors. I had to figure everything out myself. And luckily he was very experienced in some things, but not day-to-day brokerage type of thing. So, when, I kind of grew and started a team, I poured into my team. I do a lot of trainings, and I found myself doing trainings at other people's offices. And I will say the catalyst, and this sounds terrible, but I had a deal with an agent, and I'd already been kind of thinking about this, like, how can I get training out there to just any agent, anybody who wants to learn what you really need to know about real estate school, about real estate, because let's be honest, real estate school doesn't teach you any of that.
Yeah.
I was doing a deal with an agent. This is not her first, second, third, or fourth deal. And she calls me one day. She was a buyer's agent on one of my listings. And she said, hey, what did you do with the septic tank? And I was very puzzled. And I said, what did I do with the septic tank? And she said, well, I see in the pictures from the ortho photo, it was in the backyard. What did the seller do with it? And I said, that was an old oil tank that has been abandoned. Like, it was removed. It's no longer on oil heat. She was looking at an old Google image or ortho photo. And I thought to myself, I told her, I said, ma'am, septic tanks are never going to be above ground. You're never going to pump it out. And for me, I literally hung up the phone and I was like, wow, agents really don't know what they don't know. And, thankfully, I was again brought into the business by a builder, and I learned a lot of things about construction and homes and that at an early part of my career. But, for people that move from the city and have never been on a septic tank before, they have no idea what to look for. They don't know what it is and how to find it and all the things. And so that was kind of a catalyst. Like right then I was like, I'm starting a school, and it's going to be called The Real School. Capital RE for real estate, but mainly what you really need to know about real estate. So we focus on things like pool and plats, covenants, ortho photos. Tomorrow we have an attorney coming in to explain estates. If you're going to list an estate or if you're representing a buyer in an estate, these are the things you need to know. I got in big trouble one time because I was representing an estate, and I asked them, do you have an estate attorney? She said, yes. I didn't ask any more questions. Well, it came down to it. They never filed for the 3 weeks that it has to be in the paper. So we were getting ready to close, and next thing you know, we have to be delayed, and everybody's mad at me. And I was like, I didn't know. You said you had an estate attorney. I thought they knew what to do, but
I'm going through that as we speak. But I've disclosed to everybody, you've got to be open to a closing date because we have to have 3 weeks. So
yes, we have to, go through all of that. So then the next week we'll do how to be the second listing agent. So I'm doing a training on that because, as we know, the market's changing. Not every listing is selling right out the bat anymore. So how do you come in and be the second listing agent? It's a different approach than when you go on that very first listing appointment. So it's not just about lead generation. It's a little bit of everything, but it's all real world training. So
The biggest thing I tell when I have new agents, I have a new agent on my team now, and she wants to know everything. And I'm like, there's zero possibilities of you knowing everything.
Yes.
I can spend every day for the next month trying to teach you everything. And then there's going to be something that's going to come up. Like, it's just every transaction is going to be different.
17 years and thousands of deals. And just yesterday I had an agent call me and she was like, this has never happened before, but I think we wrote an offer on the wrong house. It was one of my new construction, and a lot of the houses do kind of look similar, so I can get it, but I'm like, all right, well, we'll figure this out now. Okay.
Well, it's like, well, I may not have an answer right now, but I guarantee you, I agree you will. So.
Let me get to work on that. I don't know. Well, this is the one you're in a contract for, so
yeah,
we got it all worked out. But it was, again, every day is that. I tell people all the time, my favorite part about this job is that no day is the same. The worst part about this job is that no day is the same.
I mean, I got a call Saturday, and it's one of my listings in Jacksonville, and apparently the tenant came back and he's already taken the AC, so we had to change that and explain to everybody what happened there. And then we moved on to now he's removing the doors and the windows from the property. So that one was a new one. I mean, at this point, he should just hitch to it and just drive off with the whole thing. It'd be a little easier.
But everybody thinks all we do is open doors.
That's all. Well,
right
on that, he just walks straight. He took the door. So yes. So
yep. So, but the school's going well. We just got, officially accredited with the Real Estate Commission. So we're going to start offering CE this fall and pre-licensing in person in January. So I'm very excited.
Team to sign up with you then and take
yes, very excited to do in-person pre-licensing. I think anybody, a lot of my teammates that are newer, they came through from COVID, so it was all online, and every time they sit in the real school, they're like, this is so different. It's so great being around other agents and just having these conversations and talking things out. And I'm like, can you imagine how much easier real estate school would have been had you been I remember having study groups and all the things. So
same. Mm-hmm. So I'm actually writing a book, Teacher Turned Realtor, and
I love it.
Section, how many times it took me to get through the test, and it was hard. So, and like I said,
I passed the class the first time, but it took me the third time to pass the test.
Yeah. So, yep, it's one of the hardest, and I was a biology minor, so I mean, that biology was a walk in the park compared to this test for me.
Yes,
I'm just not a test taker, but that doesn't resemble. I mean, look at what amazing agent you are. So
it doesn't resemble ability. It just resembles ability to retain information that you'll never use.
Exactly.
I know my next passion project is going to be to petition the Real Estate Commission to change how they license agents, because I think, appraisers have to have 2 years of apprenticeship. I don't understand why realtors don't either.
I mean, teaching, you had to have a year.
Right. It's just amazing to me with the things that we are now in charge of.
Highest, a lot of people, this is their last penny, like the most expensive thing they'll ever buy.
And you can get it in 3.5 weeks. And
it's amazing. Some people, and then some people that pass it the first time, I'm like, it's kind of concerning. And now you're going to just know it.
When I took the broker in charge class, I was floored at the questions that were being asked. And I was like, y'all broker in charges.
Yep. It's scary.
That was very scary. So I hope the Real Estate Commission starts making some changes. Like I said, if an appraiser takes a 2-year apprenticeship and we do all the things that an appraiser does for the most part,
they don't teach you anything really about the documents or anything. They just teach you the laws and stuff. And my assistant was like, I don't get it with these new agents. They don't know how to write the offer. I was like, because they're not taught that in class. They're taught how to fill out a CD and things like that. So.
And CDs that we never fill out. I've done one HUD in my entire life, and it's literally because the power went out in the attorney's office and we couldn't get the software back up and running. Him and I both had a calculator and a pencil out. We were like, you got this? I'm like, I think we got this.
Yeah.
Very interesting, but that's the only HUD I've ever done. And it was like in the middle of a hurricane. So,
yeah.
But I think it should be harder to get your license, and there should be some type of apprenticeship or internship that goes with it to make sure because like I said, I didn't know what I didn't know. And not only that, but just like you were saying with the contracts, our contracts change every year.
They do.
So there are so many agents that are with independent companies that if they're not very involved with the association or very involved, in some type of training, they're not paying attention. I see it all the time in agents. I'll get offers on contracts that are 2 years old. I'm like, we don't use this anymore. This is 2023.
Mm-hmm.
I need you to rewrite this on a 2023 contract. And they just look at me like I have 7 heads.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And these are the agents that are working by themselves. Like, I'm my own brokerage. I'm independent. I do this. And I'm like, you're being left behind because it is moving at light speed.
Yep. So that's the good thing about being with EXP. I mean, that brings us to that, I mean, it's a growing company, but I feel like they keep us up to date and they're very in the know of things. So
I tell people all the time, if you are not getting enough training from EXP, it's because you're not showing up.
You're not doing what you need to.
Mm-hmm. Because
funny story, I did build my little person for the world, and this just the technology part here. Here we go again. It does not look anything like me. I'm a tall, bald black man wearing pearls and a skirt, and we don't know how to fix it. They're not sure what I did.
I don't ever even use it. I have mine. I think it's set up from the very first day. I have it only if I'm going into the university or if I'm teaching or something. Yeah. I remember the first time I iconed.
Well, now you know if I'm in there because you're going to know it's me.
I'll find you now.
Tom laughs. He's like, you're like incognito.
I mean, Casey could go either way, so people don't know. I mean, really, you could just be whoever you want to be.
He was like, you are tan. Come on, Casey.
The first time I iconed, I remember I was having a meeting. We were preparing for me to do my first class, and we had one of our little meetings in the world. And she was like, "Oh, you got your icon badge." And I was like, I don't know what that is. And she's like, "It's a badge." Mm-hmm. And I was like, I still don't know what that is. And so she literally took a screenshot of my avatar and texted it to me. And I could see I have a big old icon sticker on the front of my avatar. And I was like, oh, cool. I mean, it's not like you look in a mirror with your avatar. I didn't know what I look like.
I know, right?
I was like,
I do after everybody sent me a picture.
Walking around this big old sticker in front of me. And everybody's like,
yeah, well, that's a good thing. And that's awesome. I mean, your icon and the XP is really a big thing. So.
Yeah, I love teaching in the world. I encourage everybody to do it. It was so much easier than I thought it was going to be and so much more engaging. Like almost every time I felt like I was running over because we were just chatting away about stuff. So I'm excited. I'll be speaking at EXPCon next month. So
I know, I'm so proud of you.
Thanks. Awesome. That's my biggest fear though. Public speaking is not my jam. So we shall see.
It's not mine either, believe it or not. I can talk one-on-one. I can talk on here. This has taken a minute, but we do this podcast every week, and it's grown. We just hit our year anniversary last week. Awesome. Yes. So
I love a panel or a round table, but when it's just me and I've got to keep everyone's attention, it makes me so nervous.
Well, maybe I'll end up booking a ticket at the last minute and I'll come.
You should come.
You'll know me. So we're all about tips and tricks and hacks on here. What tips what's one of the main tips that you can think of if you have to tell a new agent coming into this world?
Network. And networking is not a sprint, it's a marathon. But I built my business as soon as I got my license. The first thing I did was join the Chamber of Commerce. I joined Civitan. I joined mom groups. I joined, you name it. I was somewhere all the time. And I can, correlate some of my biggest closings to date from the connections that I made 15, 16 years ago. Back when I was 23 years old and didn't know what I was doing, but I made these connections and I, built my business and people still trust me. So you name it, I have served on I've been a member of or served on almost every board that you can think of between the chamber, between the home builders and TMLS and different chambers, you name it. And now county commissioner, but just being involved. Obviously I didn't do county commissioner for networking, but I've just always been involved, and you get to be that go-to person. The church I go to, there's 8 realtors, but at the end of the day, 9 times out of 10, they come to me. I'm the go-to person because I'm very obvious that this is what I do. This is my passion. I am real estate all day, every day. And I don't market at church at all, but everybody knows that that's what I do. And it's because I stay present all the time. And, I tell people this, and a lot of times they'll be like, well, I went to a meeting and I didn't get a lead. It's not about getting a lead. It's about making a connection. And I feel like I am a connection person. The biggest other piece of advice I have is always go for the ask. One of my biggest connections is I was on a pre-sale appointment with one of my builders, and this guy and his wife come in. They're looking at building with my builder, and just in general chit chat, I'm like, hey, what do you do? And he's like, actually, I'm a developer. I was like, oh, cool. Obviously I love new construction. I do a lot of new construction. I'm working with this builder / developer. And we left the meeting, and I just called him and I said, hey, if I come across any land, can I bring it to you? Would you be willing to look at it to see if it's something you'd be interested in, and maybe we could work together? Absolutely. And then turns out he does flips. And so I brought him a flip. And then next thing you know, 3 or 4 years later, I'm his main agent. He rents an office here, and we do a lot of projects together. And it's all because I literally picked up the phone and just said, hey, can I give you an opportunity?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's another big thing. A lot of agents expect opportunity to come to them. You have to create the opportunity.
Correct.
That is what I feel like I've done in networking. You create the opportunity, you create those bonds, that you create those communications. And, I have people call me all the time. Hey, do you know somebody who does this? Yes. I don't care what it is. I got a guy. I got somebody who can do that. And the next thing you know, that person turns around and refers me because I just referred them. I've never been in a B&I group. I know that works for some people. I like to do it more organic than feeling like it's forced and paid for. That's just my opinion. If you're in a B&I group, I've heard great things, so don't take that as a knock. I've just never, I probably have spent more time, effort, and energy creating it organically than it would have done through B&I. But at the end of the day, I feel like the relationships are stronger and more solid, and we're built on true relationship building versus, hey, we're in this club and we're supposed to refer people.
Yes. Do you do anything such as, like, I like to do this thing where I call people. I try to call 5 people that I haven't spoken with in a while, almost every day. How about you? Do you do any of that?
I need to be better at that. Sometimes I'm good at Facebook, shooting little messages on Facebook. I set some time aside to just follow up with people and how's your mom and them and time like that, which is not as personal, but I'm not a big texter. I really hate text messages.
I do too. And my friends have a hard time with that. But if you spend your whole entire day texting, you just want to have a personal conversation that lasts 2 minutes opposed to 10 over text.
Yes. So, no, I'm trying to get better at that. To be honest, that's one of the biggest regrets I have is I scaled fairly quickly and got very busy very quickly because of my social media, because I was just beating the pavement. I was doing 2 and 3 open houses every weekend, so I put in the time and the work, and it paid off. But then I didn't put in the time and effort into really nurturing my past clients like I should have. And it wasn't until probably about 8 years ago, I finally did my first past client event. And I was so nervous because I think we all have past client anxiety, where we're worried that the first time we talk to them, they're gonna be like, my roof is leaking, my HVAC broke, this is wrong, I don't like this, I don't like my neighbor. All they're gonna tell us is something negative, and we feel like it's our fault. Like, there's not, even to this day, some of my obviously best friends are my clients, and they've been in their houses 11 years. And when they say something breaks, I still feel personally responsible. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't know that it would go out on you 11 years later. Like, I think we all have that anxiety for whatever reason. And
I had one, their kitchen caught on fire, and they called me, and I was like, probably should call the fire department.
Yeah.
What's the number?
911.
It was like, oh.
So I waited way too long to do a client appreciation event. And the first one I did, I was in tears at the end of it. I was like, I will never not do this again, because it was so good to reunite and seeing people with their kids they didn't have when I first sold them a house. And, it was so funny. One guy walked in the first time and he stuck his head in. We do a dinner at Logan's at White Oak. We rent out the side room and we have it catered. And it's just a free meal. We always have cakes and cupcakes and swag and stuff like that. It's just how's your mom and them? Sit down, have dinner on us. Let's catch up. Thank you for being our client and being in our family. And one guy walked in, I won't ever forget. And he kind of stuck his head in the door, and I had an assistant who was helping me like check everybody in. Who are you? Who was your agent? Type of thing on the team. And he was like, is this a timeshare thing? Like, are we going to have to buy anything? We were like, no, we really just thank you for being in our family, and we're going to treat your family to dinner, and there's no catch. No, you're not going to have to sign up for a year buyer agency or anything like that. You don't have to sell. So it was so fun, and it was just so great to reconnect. And so we do that every year now, and then we try to plan one in the fall as well. So I would say do that sooner than later, and love, love, love on your past people. I bought leads way too early. I'd never paid for marketing until I started my team. And then I felt very personally responsible for everybody and everybody's family. And so I started buying leads. And then I had seasoned agents who stopped following up with their past clients because I was giving them low hanging fruit. So now I've had to go. I mean, obviously, I have to have leads. I have 21 agents now. So it's important that there's enough business to go around, but I'm also teaching them to fish instead of just having a here's a fish, feed him for a day mentality. My mentality now is I need to make sure I'm teaching them to fish, so I'm feeding them for a lifetime.
That's a hard line right there, like in between, because as you know, a lot of the agents that came out of COVID, it was easy. It was just like you snap your finger, you got a listing, you got a buyer, you got something during that time. And then when that went away, a lot of them were like, well, I really don't want to do that. I don't want to call. I don't want to work open houses. Am I going to get paid to work this open house? Are you going to give me a percentage if you sell this? Like things like that. And it's like, no, just go do it, learn, and take the experience. But
yeah. That's why I feel like if agents if they have to do some type of internship or apprenticeship, they'll be so much more successful. I've had an intern pretty much every year for like the last 5 years, and they've all gone on to be very successful. Yep. And it's because, I mean, one of them is still with me, and he's one of our top agents in first year in the business.
I've got one coming on under me as we speak. So, yeah.
He was just with me everywhere, and he sat right beside me, and he'd listen to me talk, and he'd listen to what I did and what I said. And he's seen me go to festivals and be willing to put up tents and work them all day long by myself and not leave the table and not go eat. He's even to this day, I still do the grunt work, and I want them to see that.
Yes.
Because when things get hard, there's only one person left to do the grunt work. And I've always said I can outwork anybody. You know what I mean? I'm not the smartest person, but I can outwork anybody.
Same. Do you have any hacks for anybody?
I wouldn't say hacks per se. I mean, we've all heard about ChatGPT. That's my new favorite thing on the planet.
Because I'm working on it.
I love ChatGPT. I feel like it brings out things that I think, and it just says it for me. Like, it makes everything I say that much better and that much more eloquent. So I'm really using it for listing descriptions and Facebook posts and making things just seem, I know it sounds crazy, but I feel like they seem more genuine because they're longer and it talks more about what I actually feel. Whereas when I was typing it, I would get bored of typing and be like, I don't know what else to say. I feel like I'm being redundant. But with ChatGPT, like I can put in a thought, and I'm pretty, descriptive, but I put in a thought and then it puts it out and I'm like, that sounds even better than I was imagining. And so
have you heard of Philip Stringer? He's out of Greensboro.
Yes, I have his whole AI like download slides.
He was on our podcast a few weeks ago, and he was talking. So I've been trying to learn, and
that may have been where I got it. I think I may have jumped on, but it was in one of them, and I downloaded his whole like slide deck of the tips and tricks and things that he sends you to. I haven't
our thing, and he's put that out there, and we shared it with a bunch of people. So
yeah, I haven't had time to dive into it too much. I'm still very basic in the ChatGPT, but it's crazy to come across people that haven't heard about it yet. And I'm like, it will change the game. And for
everybody's saying I should use it for my book, but I'm like, how do I do that? These are my thoughts. These are my memories. How do I put it into? So I'm scared to try that. So I'm just going with.
Once you get used to it, and I feel like I've played in mine enough. Like I did, what was it just the other day? Oh, when I did the post about the fact that we opened up a coastal division.
Yes, I was going to ask you. I'm glad you said that. I wanted to ask you
I
about.
gave it like 2 sentences to work off of. It automatically knew that I was a Triangle native, how long I'd been in the Triangle, that we worked North Carolina, everything about North Carolina. Like I didn't put half of that stuff in there, and it populated it. And I was like my marketing team made a post, but the Chat GPT
Was better.
was better.
Yeah. So
So I think once it gets used to you, the AI, it really starts to figure out who you are.
yeah, Hallie said she's free now. She was going to hop on, so I'm going
Okay.
to hop on. Yeah, she's a big G or chat. You
Chat
know,
GPT, AI. You can just say AI. It's all the things now.
she's a um, she's a big like person with that, so she like loves it. So I'm just like, but like I said, I'm figuring it out. The book thing, I need to use it for my listings. So maybe I was going to reword one of mine because we fixed some things. We got some feedback on one of our listings, and we went in and fixed it over the weekend. So I can reword that now. So,
I had one a couple weeks ago. I had a really tough listing. I think one of my teammates passed away. She was
yeah,
showing houses and died in a car accident, and it's been a couple years, but it still hurts. And she was just one of my best friends, and I just had to list her house, and I've never cried doing a listing description before in my life, and I would get through like 4 words, and I was just like, I can't. And so I went to Chat GPT, and I just put in like my favorite things about the house and what I thought. And what it populated made me cry even harder. I was like, it's exactly what I was thinking, like what I was trying to say. And so I love it. I really think that
I need
it's
to utilize. So that's a good hack. So you're coastal. You started there. So are you all over the coast, or are you in
yeah.
an area? Or
We're gonna start in Wilmington. We're doing all the coast. We're already working on a listing in Atlantic Beach, but it's again, you manifest it and it happens. As soon as I said coastal, I mean, I hadn't even had the signs designed yet, and somebody called me like, "Will you list my mother-in-law's house at the beach?" I'm like, "Absolutely." So one of my teammates, Ashley, she's from Wilmington. Well, she's from here. Moved to Wilmington, got married, moved back here, and then her husband just got transferred back to Wilmington. So now they're there, and she wants to, stay on the team, but she wants to obviously do it in Wilmington. And I mean, Wilmington's not that much farther than Fayetteville, to be honest. When you
right.
live,
I take care of my clients. Like it's easier. So 2 hour drive. It gets me out of Raleigh for the day.
and I live at 40 and 95 and 70. So I mean, it's like I'm right near everything. And with her being down there, so that was kind of the kickoff of it. And then it's already spiraled. I mean, of course, 3 of my agents on the team have places at the beach. And so I'm like, as long as it's not outside of your scope, we're joining the association, we're going to know what's going on. That's the biggest thing I think is important. It's just making sure you're not working outside of your scope and you know what's going on. And we're paying the money and we're doing all the things, to make sure we have the access that we need so that we're not dependent on other agents. So yeah, very excited about that. We felt
Agents are willing to work with you. Actually, Bill and Christy Kane, Christy and I worked together during my first teaching job in Wilmington, and her husband was starting Blue Coast at that point. So that was my first door knocking experience. We would go print off flyers, use our little numbers, print off our flyers, and go walk around and door knock. That was back when we did that kind of thing before social media. There's my aging. And he built up one of the largest next to Intercoastal down like Blue Coast, and he sold it off. And now they just fish. They
awesome.
do offshore fishing. So
Very cool. But yeah, it was kind of a good segue. We'd already had a lot of our clients like, hey, can you represent us down there? And, now that we have the regional MLS, it makes it easier. So, before I've helped several people buy down there, but I would only take a referral fee because I knew I was going to be dependent on the listing agent for a lot of information. But now that we have that information, I have boots on the ground down there. I feel comfortable, and it's perfect timing.
That's knowing, like if you're selling a boat dock, you need to know the tide and you need to know the depth of the. These are things that a lot of people wouldn't think to ask.
You need to know wind ratings, and you need to know,
really important. The insurance
areas. Yes, exactly. So, like I said, I made sure we didn't do this move until we were educated, we had the right people, and I feel like we do. So we're very excited.
Yes. So, well, I'm very proud of you. Look, Hallie's popping up. She finally made it. We were trying. I think I got There we go.
There we go. Hi, guys.
Hello.
I'm sorry. Hi, April.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Just crazy busy. I thought I had enough time, and then this client just went over an extra 30 minutes. So totally my fault. Apologies, but I'm glad we were able to get it.
You're
going.
fired. So we've been chatting. We were talking about tips, tricks, and hacks, and she was talking about she just moved, or not moved. She just opened it up, her business up on the coast at the beach.
So what part of or like which beach?
All of the North Carolina coast. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, between agents that I have one in Wilmington, and then I have others that actually have places between Harkers Island, Oak Island, Atlantic Beach, you name it. It's like, again, my team is very strategically placed. That's why we cover 6 counties, is because I have people, either from those areas or living in those areas that are very strategic.
Yes. Love it. Well, that's
Runs our sign guy to death, but he doesn't mind it.
And little blurb there, her husband is also, he works side by side with her. He does the commercial and
okay.
And land acquisition.
Yeah.
So similar to us. Right.
Callie's husband is a builder.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and she's out of San Angelo, and she just moved into the Dallas area.
Yeah.
Oh, very fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess catch me up to speed. What have I missed so far?
Lots of things. She's a big HG or GP.
Chat GPT.
That word.
Okay, love it.
She's asked me for hacks, and of course, I know everybody, it's kind of on that, but that's one of my new favorite things. My biggest tip is about networking. I built my business through open houses and networking. Social media, obviously, is a necessary evil. It wasn't back then when I started. I told Casey I'm, fax machine old in real estate years. So when I first started on Facebook, it was brand new. Now it's not. So there's 17 other platforms. So I've just recently gotten on TikTok, which I hate, but my daughter and my young teammate are making me do it.
So, no, it'll be good. It'll be good.
And I met through her daughter.
Okay, cool.
I taught her daughter in kindergarten.
Oh
yes.
My gosh.
It was
Full
the
circle,
sweetest.
right?
We literally go way back. She'll be 20 this weekend, Casey.
Okay, let's keep aging me here. I'm talking about handing out flyers and printers and faxing and now my best friend actually, who does key title, Jamie Gaston, is marrying her husband's cousin. So we spent the weekend together at Atlantic Beach. So it's
so fun.
My world.
And I just got to go to Ocean Isle for my first time too. Speaking of North Carolina coast. So, it was awesome.
Yes. Ocean Isle is awesome beach. It's quiet, it's laid back, it's chill.
Mm-hmm. So. Have you guys talked? So Casey was telling me a little bit about you and how you've built a big team. Have we talked about hacks, tips, or tricks with that?
We did, and we talked about her real estate school, and yes. So, and she built her team kind of how I did. She just kind of hired. Here, April, I'll let you tell it. So, real quick, the quick version.
Well, we hired very quickly. I was telling her it just kind of snowballed when I first said I'm hiring. It came out of necessity, and so I kind of hired very quickly. We had some new construction coming on that we had to staff. Luckily, it worked out really, really well. And I think the biggest thing though, I didn't focus enough on the leadership part early on. All I thought was leads. I need to feed these people. I need to love on these people. I need to be everything and all things to these people. And that only gets you so far if you don't have accountability and leadership in place. And so that's something I feel like I've really learned in the last 3 years, especially being with EXP, like just, listening to John Sheplack and Dan Beer and people like that, really preach on accountability. One of the first things I went to a John Sheplack event, and he was talking about loving on your people. And I pulled him aside and I was like, listen, I have loved on my people to no end. I'm telling you, birthdays, Christmases, you name it, their family events, they had an anniversary, I'd have champagne and strawberry scent. Like they're my best friends to a degree. And I've loved on them. I said, and some of them still left. And he said, well, did you hold them accountable? And I was like, well, and he said, accountability is the highest form of love. And I was like, no truer words have been said. You're right. I did not make sure they were being successful. I just made sure they were happy.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
happy does not equate to success. So that's one of the biggest things I've learned. And I was very, very scared to grow. I stayed stagnant for about 4 years. I did not want to hire anybody. I didn't want to change our dynamic. I didn't want anybody to be upset. I used to have everybody on my team interview anybody that was coming on because I wanted to make sure they were a good fit. And then I had somebody tell me, actually, on my team, you are the leader for a reason.
Yeah.
It is your decision who you bring onto this team. And I was like, fair. And so then I really started diving into, I took some leadership training. There's a group out of Charlotte. I can't think of his name, John East, maybe. I went to a training there, which was so good because nobody else was in real estate. It was 30 team leaders in all different fields, some leading virtual teams before COVID. And it was just great to have leadership training. So then I started really pouring myself into, the love languages of appreciation, what is the team one? It's such a good
Like
read.
the 7 levels of communication. Do you
7 levels of communication. That's one, but this one is, God, I probably have it up here. Let's see. I've got how to be a great boss. What's the other one? There is, I'll send it to you, Casey, so you can upload it, but it's about it's a real story about a team, and there's like 7 of them, and the top producer, it's like a technology team, so it's nothing to do with real estate. I can't think of the name of it right now, but it's so good. Anyway, so I really started diving into leadership, and figuring out who I wanted to be as a leader, and then from then on, it just kind of exploded. And I went from, and I hired a coach for the first time. I hired a business coach, which was great for me. And it went from feeling like I was being held hostage by my team to truly being the team leader and not living in fear that somebody was going to leave or somebody was going to get upset or somebody's going to do this, but focusing on what was moving the team forward. And that's all that mattered. And since I changed my mindset and I got out of that fear factor, we are just crashing through the ceilings that we had not been able to break through before.
Oh, I love it. So
You should
I've got a
have
question.
a leader coach. You should have a course with it. I'll sign up.
It's in my goals plan. It's in my 3-year plan to start some type of coaching. So, because I want other people to learn from my mistakes. And, I also had to learn that your job as a leader is to, produce other leaders. And, I hope that, the first agent that I had, Casey, that I was telling you that I called and I was like, you want to be my buyer's agent? We worked together for 10 years. And one of the biggest reasons that we moved to EXP was because she could start her own team, but her and I were still linked together.
Right. Yes.
I coached her. I'm her biggest cheerleader. Everybody was so devastated when she announced she was starting her own team. And they're like, oh my gosh, you and April broke up. And we're like, no, I'm her biggest cheerleader. She has spread her wings and she is flying. Yeah. I'm so excited for her. And I'm helping her build her team. And I'm just so proud of her. And that is what you should want. Now, I have some agents on my team that they're happy. They just want to be on the team. They don't want to do that. Yeah. They want to do 50 deals a year and go home at night, and that's it. And that's great. There's nothing wrong with that either. But if you recognize somebody wants to do more, just like Marty did for me, give them the breadcrumbs and then cheerlead for them.
Yeah. She said that earlier, Hallie, and I really like it. She goes, I can follow breadcrumbs.
You tell me what to do, I can do it.
Yes. I like that. So,
and it's
oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say the leader position, each job you do different. Like I led a classroom full of 25 kids for 13, 14 years, but now leading adults, it is more challenging than making 5-year-olds line up and be quiet and making sure they don't pee on themselves. So these are struggles I'm fighting right now. So I'm glad she said that. I'm glad this podcast took this turn. So.
Yeah. Well, I think Casey, you and I have talked. That's, I think, one of the hardest parts of our jobs, is like client management, expectation management. It's a skill you have to learn as you go. I was going to ask a question though, April. So when you're talking about keeping your team accountable, are you able to elaborate on that a little bit on how you do keep them accountable?
Yeah.
And I guess it's kind of a two-part question. When you say like your team, do you have a true standard team, or is it like a self-organized team?
I have a mega team.
Okay.
And then I have what I call my new homes division. So it's like a separate small team of other team leaders. So like Tracy, for instance, she has her team, but she's also my new homes division. So if I have subdivisions come up, we have different agents work them. And I realized, a long time ago, starting a new construction, it's really hard to manage general brokerage and new construction with the same constant group of people because you get burnout.
Yeah.
And so this gives me a way to give them more business, give the other people my new homes division opportunity. Now there are some on my team that are also in my new homes. There is crossover. But I also like having this bucket of people to pull from. So like in my downline or my organization, whenever I have a new subdivision come up, I have an application process and everybody gets an opportunity to apply, and whoever is the best fit, we have trainings for them on new construction and, standards that they have to meet and that type of thing. But that is who gets some of this new construction. They get to co-list it with me so that it doesn't burn my team out and my team doesn't get used to that new construction low-hanging fruit and stop going after general brokerage.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it gives people in my organization more opportunity to be successful.
Yeah. Love it.
So the other pieces I would say for our mega teams, or what I called them my family, and my new homes division are like our cousins. So we're all related. It's just, a little different. So my team is my family. So we have Merry Monday check-ins. Every Monday we send out an email. It's 6 questions. Like, how much lead gen did you do? How many showings did you do? How much this did you do? And the last question is always, is there anything we can help you with? And they're supposed to turn that in every Monday. And then we have a team meeting every Tuesday at 10.
Send it to them before Monday, or do you send it? You said you sent
They're
it.
supposed to turn it in on Monday.
Okay.
And it's just an email. And then we have our team meeting every Tuesday at 10. And then we have training at the Real School every Wednesday at 11 that they're encouraged to come to. We have one-on-ones every quarter. Once we grew to about 15 or 20 people, there's no way we could do it monthly. We were spending all of our time in one-on-ones. So between myself and my COO, Holly, we do their one-on-ones, and it's just a 2-page. We revisit where their goals are, what needs to change, what are they doing, and this is just a time for them to tell us what's working and what's not. And then we also ask them, what are you going to do for yourself this month?
Yeah.
What are your quarter? What are you going to do for your friends and family this quarter? So if they tell me, I want to take my family on a trip next quarter. Okay, I want you to now go figure out where you're going and how much it's going to cost. And I want you to report back to me. And I'm going to put that on your sheet. Because every time you get a commission check, I'm going to say, did you put $500 away for Disney? Did you do this? Like, I want these things are important to me, that you have a good quality of life. So I'm going to keep these front of mind for you.
Yeah.
And then we do a mid-year retreat, which is always a pool day at my house, where we, look at our goals, where everybody is at. They all get their own printout with a pie chart, where the business came from, where they're at in accordance where their goals are, and then where the team is at. And then we do what we call a team advance at the end of the year, which is a 2-day team building. And we set our goals for the next year. We go through where we're at. We do a community service project. So we always get an angel tree, and we all go shopping together and team up at Walmart, and everybody has kids, and they go buy for them. We come back and just all check out together, and we come back and wrap it and then deliver it. And then I usually have somebody come in from the outside and do like a team building thing. We did the 6 working geniuses this summer, which was amazing, to figure out how we're all different and why you're different and that type of thing. So, I'm not a very strict team leader. I don't expect people to be in the office 8:30 to 9:30 power hour, making calls, things like that. Most of my teammates are moms, and they have small kids. And I know for me, I treated this business like a 9 to 5. I'd drop Abby off at school, and I'd go straight to the office, and I'd work it until it's time to pick her up. And I'd go right back, to working when I got home. And so, I try to be respectful of, I want them to have the reason you get into real estate, most people, is for the flexibility, which we all know it's not flexible.
Yeah.
But, for the most part it is. You don't have to miss things at your kids' school. And I don't want them to miss dropping their kids off and picking them up, because I want them to be calling random strangers. If they can do that from 10 to 11 or 2 to 3, what's the difference?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I'm given so much information. I feel like I need to You should like train me now. I taught your daughter, now you train me. So I definitely want the book. I know we're coming up on like that, and I know you're busy. So she's also county commissioner. So
Oh my gosh.
I just
Wow.
needed another job.
Right. I know, but
so I know you're busy, and we're coming up on the whole hour thing. But I do want you to send me that book title that you were talking about.
Well, I'm trying to think of it. It's 5 Dysfunctions of a Team.
5 Dysfunctions.
So good. It's a very easy read, and it was very eye-opening for me because the person that they thought was like the ringleader and the top person in there was actually the most toxic. And the other one is the energy bus. The energy bus, I based my whole team advance off of that 2 years ago. It's also a very easy read, and it reads like a story.
Ravens fans.
Hmm?
Ravens fans. The Raving fans.
Yes, Raving Fans is a good one too.
yeah.
So,
And the Miracle Morning for Real Estate Agents was a game
Oh
changer.
yeah. I love that one.
I love how Elrod and all the things, how Elrod.
So fun story about April. Don't know I did this, but I look at her stories because she's always got a new book, and I try. And I think you're gonna have to send me that title.
5
Because I wanted
Dysfunctions.
to screenshot it, and then the word of the day. She does like a word of the day, like religion wise, and
That's what's in my devotions in the morning. I just screenshot my because I don't know who else needs to hear it.
and I kind of copy her books because whenever she's going on vacation, she always has an amazing leadership book of some sort. It seems like so.
I have a whole library here for anybody to check stuff out on, and yeah.
But yeah, if you don't mind when we get off here, just text me that name. I'm going to get that book. So maybe something I can. I wonder if they have it on where I can listen to it in the car. That's when I listen to a lot of mine.
Yes.
I don't know if that one would be good on. I don't know because I do like a lot of books on Audible. The friggin' Ryan Searhant one is so good on Audible.
Oh yeah.
Beginner's Money or Selling Sirhan?
Selling Sirhant. He's hysterical when he talks about like, I just jumped on a plane to go meet this guy. I didn't know what it was going to turn. Like, he's just so real. I love listening.
Got lost in Japan or somewhere.
Yes. But the 5 Dysfunctions of a Team was such a good read. I'm wondering like if I could hear different personalities, if it would have changed my opinion. Because in my mind, I'd made up who it reads like a story. So you make up who these personalities are.
I'll read it first and then I'll see if they've got it on Audible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same. I can't wait to read that.
Yes.
It's very, very good.
Do you have time for one more question?
Yeah, I'm good.
So I guess I'm coming up on 2 years married. Eventually, I don't know when, but eventually we'll start thinking about kids and such. And it sounds like you're a mom. You lead a lot of mom real estate agents. How do you guys? I don't think balance is the right word. I feel like I've heard that integrating is more of the right word.
Work-life integration, not work-life balance.
Right. Do you have any like tips for someone who's nervous? I'm nervous about being able to juggle everything I have going on and have a kid. Or actually potentially 2, because twins run in both me and my husband's family. So are you able to just kind of touch on how you do that, or what you coach other moms on?
That is one of my favorite things, and it's been a new season for me because for some reason when I first started my team, everybody I hired was getting engaged. I threw more bachelorette parties than I did for my friends in high school. Like every time I would interview somebody, I'm like, "Are you getting engaged anytime soon?" They're like, "Actually," and I'm like, "Of course you are." So we're gonna throw another I'm out of bachelorette ideas completely.
Yes.
So, then luckily they've all gotten married now, so we've done the weddings, and now we have babies. So like literally today, our team meeting was a gender reveal. We found out before her family even found out. So I've been the keeper of the gender for 2 of my teammates now. We've done gender reveal parties. So we love our teen babies. Blair was the first one to have a teen baby. We threw a big baby shower, and it's almost mandatory that she has to bring her to the team meetings, and we all just pass her around, or I'll lead the meeting with her in the front all the time. I'm a very, passionate about integrating your kids when it makes sense. Like you have to make good calls. So one of my agents was also a foster mom for several months. And she had an emergency, and she had 2 toddlers, and she had a big closing the next day. Like not big as in money wise, but big as in there had been a lot of issues.
Yes.
And now her husband travels all the time, so he's not in town.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm just going to take him to closing. And I was like, absolutely not. You're going to leave him right here. And me and Holly sat on the floor and we colored with him and watched, friggin' whatever Coco Melon on the TV.
Bluey. Yes.
Yeah. And, and there are times, Blair, who has MG, she's 9 months old. She's our first teen baby. And she's precious. She does a lot of our new construction, and she'll say, I have a 9-month-old. She's strapped to me. She's very good. Is it okay if she comes with me to the walkthrough? And I'm like, absolutely. Now, no, you can't run up there with 3 rambunctious children that are running up and down and around the house. But 9 times out of 10, MG steals the show at the walkthroughs, and everybody's happy to see her. So,
yeah.
For me, I run a team that is made for agents to be successful and also have a good quality of life. I know I overdid it way too much. Casey will tell you that. I mean, I was coming in on 2 wheels. I never missed anything for the most part, but I was not the PTA mom bringing in cupcakes. I'm like, can I just...
When they changed that graduation, you didn't miss it. But you did.
We're not talking about that anymore.
I'm never going to forgive myself.
Under the bridge. Long story. But anyway, I wasn't Pinterest mom, and I had to be okay with that because, my kid, and she'll tell you to this day, like, I remember she did a report at some point in time. I think she was a junior in high school, and something in there said my parents are workaholics. And I was very upset about that. But then after talking with her more about it, not at that moment, but now that she's a, fast forward senior in college, she is a workaholic and she loves it. She's very motivated. Every job she's ever had, like Brian and I have to tell her she can't work anymore. You can only work 1 weekend a month. And that's only so she can keep her area discount. But every job she's ever had, they've tried to promote her to manager. She was like 17 years old working at Char Grill, and they wanted her to be manager. I'm like, no, this is not her end game. We're not staying at Char Grill. Because she's never late. She never misses work. She's always on time. She loves to work. If that kid calls us for anything, it's only because she absolutely must need it. She will.
She's always been a good kid, though, even when she was a
very smart, hard charging, and that's why she's going to graduate in 2.25 years. So,
That's crazy. Wow, you must be proud.
I am. Yeah, she turns 20 this weekend, and she's a senior in college. So,
I heard Miss Dyer says happy birthday.
I will. I told her. I sent her the picture of us from the other weekend. She was like, "Oh my gosh!" So
Ron came in at the beginning, Hallie, and he was like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "I'm on a podcast with Casey." Casey. Miss Dyers, Brian.
Miss Dyers.
You're like, it's Casey.
Not to us, but yeah, I would say, when I went to night school, I was working 2 part-time jobs, and I don't know if you heard that. I actually went to real estate school at night. So it took me 6 months to get my license. Again, that's how old I'm in real estate years. And I was working 2 part-time jobs, and Abby was 2. But just like I was saying with Casey, when I got involved in all this networking, Abby was on my hip because Brian worked on the weekends. He worked in the food industry. So wherever I went, she went. And same things. If I was putting out flyers in new construction, she would run in the houses and she'd turn on the lights. If we were having open houses, I mean, I didn't take her with me to every open house. I had, my mom or my dad, but I would go get everything set up and she'd go with me. So we had a little extra time. Then I'd drop her off, go work the open house, go back and pick her up. And she just thought it was neat. She's like, I want to work with Mom.
That's kind of how I was too. My mom was, she was an agent and also worked for a builder, like a production builder at the time. And I remember like always hanging out in the model homes and just like playing with the fake food and stuff. And I'm like, I'm never going to be a real estate agent. I'm like, it's so boring. So I'm like, of course. Here I am. I'm just like my mom, like you said. Like
Abby used to say, "This is my mom."
Yeah.
Because I'm on the phone. 1 minute. I'm on the phone.
Totally. So funny. Well, thank you for sharing. I'm the more I talk to other, mom agents, the better I feel about it going forward. So
there's also a great podcast from Darren Hardy. He says that once we become moms, we become superheroes, because once you become a mom, you figure out how to do everything 3 times as fast, 3 times as good. And I've seen that with Blair. Her business has gone through the roof since she's been a mom. And it's because she's had to figure it all out. And it's like you don't get downtime, so you don't have downtime anymore, and you just hard charge all the time. And I'm so proud of her. And she's, she just posted a reel. She posted 2 reels. One went viral the other day, but she just posted one, and she was at a walkthrough, and she had MG strapped to her. Her name's Madeline Grace, but we call her MG.
Cute.
And she had Madeline strapped to her, and she's like walking around the corner with her iPad and her phone like this and her coffee in her hand. And she was like, I'm teaching my daughter what it looks like to be a strong woman. And I was like, yes, you are.
Love that. That's so
awesome.
sweet. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to follow you on
Yes, please do.
She's also speaking at EXP, Hallie.
I know. I decided, you told me that. I decided not to go this year. I bought my ticket and stuff, but it's just, I have so much going on, and I feel like I'm gonna like drive myself to the point of being sick if I try to swing a Vegas trip right now as well.
I will say, I feel like I get the most done on those trips. I'm a multitasker by nature. So like when I'm sitting in all of these sessions, I'm also on my iPad just crushing my email. Like I get so much done at a conference, and then we go to the pool and I meet all these people, and that's where I learn the most, is just talking to other team leaders in different areas.
Yes, I know. I feel the same.
I mean, that's how Hallie and I met. We met at 10X Ladies, and it turned out, I was like, hey, my best friend Tori, and it turned out we knew her mom's best friends were actually one of my best friends from Wilmington.
Yeah, I'm originally from Greensboro.
We just became friends after that because Lisa Copeland's like, just come, Casey. What do you have to lose? I was like, nothing.
Good.
That one I was doing deals, and I kept looking at Hallie. I was up and out and in and out of the room. I was like, take notes from me. I'll be right back.
Yes.
So
Love it.
Yeah. Well, April, I'm not going to hold you much longer. I mean, I know you're a busy lady. So,
well, grateful for the opportunity, Hallie. It was so nice to meet you.
I know. I just followed you on Instagram. Thank you so much for coming on. And I'm sorry I was late hopping on. I'll go back and watch the beginning. But seriously, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. Let me know if I can ever see
well too.
And April, I will see you soon.
Right.
Oh, and if
you guys leadership thing together, let me know.
Yeah.
I will.
Well, and if you guys want to follow April, she's April Stevens Realtor on Instagram. Is that the best?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. And well, now she's on TikTok too.
Yes.
Still April.
What's the best way for people to contact you if they have questions or if they want to get come to your real school to do their CE?
The real school is the Real School NC on Facebook. That's where we post all of our trainings. Our website is getting ready to be up and running. We'll have a full calendar. But email April@aprilstevens.com. I live and die by my email. It's like my to-do list.
Yes, same.
I'm a terrible texter, so I'm not even going to tell you to text me because I begged for a pin to top button, and then they only gave me 12. And I'm like, I need more than 12. I have 40. I need 40 pin to tops at my.
Too funny.
I can't stand for things to be unread, so everything has to be cleared.
Yes.
The hour changed.
Love it. Awesome. Well, everybody who's watching, this is a pre-recorded session, but we will be on. So this is going to be played on a Monday, and we'll be on the following Monday. So I don't think we have any other holidays coming up right now. So
April, you'll be on this coming Monday. So.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Yes. Cool. Well, thank you so much, April. Thank you, Casey. Appreciate you guys. And for our audience who is tuning into this, thank you guys too. Wouldn't be possible without you guys. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts. And if you do that, send us a screenshot and we'll send you a gift card. We're only doing this for a limited time. So get on it and we'll send you a gift card.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.